Welcome back to the Tinkerage. A bit of unboxing today and kind of first impressions video. Not on this though. This is my Dewalt DC725 drill driver, 18 volt. It's 10 years old, I think, maybe. Yeah, it's probably 10 or 11 years old. It has served me well. I'm not a tradie, so I don't use this for my professional day work, but it's done some major jobs in the house. I used it to rebuild walls, obviously putting things up in the garden, making things. It's been nice, but it's not very well. They're a bit worn there, a bit wobbly. Batteries, NiCad, don't last so long. I know I could get replacement ones fairly easily. There's something wrong inside as well. Whenever I use it, there's a rather nasty smell. Maybe something serviceable, but I suspect, given the price point of this, it was about £100 from B&Q or Screwfix. I suspect it's probably not serviceable. I may try and find out at some point, but it does smell. It's also a bit on the heavy side. I'm getting older. I'm not as strong as I was. Keep getting injured. I need something different. I did a lot of research. I don't have huge amounts of cash to spend on machines. There's plenty of drill drivers that I really would like to have tried, would like to have got, but they're just too expensive. Budget was a bit limited. Luckily, Screwfix, who are very good, did have a nice offer of a Bosch. It's 18 volt. It's the GSB 18 volt 55 with a couple of 2 amp hour batteries for £100. Now, I don't know if that offer is still on. I think most places it was selling for about 120. So quite an upgrade in terms of batteries. These are 1.3 amp hours. The 2 amp hour batteries, again, for me, more than enough. 2 batteries was an essential thing for me. I know there were some cheaper options where I could have got a drill driver, which would have probably been okay, but 1 battery, no thanks. If I'm doing a job, I want to be able to just swap batteries and carry on. So that was an important part. I did want what I would call a reasonable brand. There were cheaper drills available from other brands. I was tempted by Airbau from Screwfix, but I wasn't sure. There were a couple of sort of feedback comments that made me kind of think, maybe not for something that is used so much. It's probably my most commonly, as most people, most commonly used tool. I haven't used this yet. I have had it a few weeks, I must admit, but I haven't actually used it yet. The case, for me, is not a big deal. Generally, the cases, the blow-molded cases, I do keep them in the loft, just in case I'm moving. I don't know why, actually, because, to be honest, if I was moving, I'd probably just not use them. But then I might. It's been a long time since we moved house. This is one of those kind of boxes that's designed to clip to a system. It is quite nice. It's a lot stronger than the standard blow-molded cases. So I might turn it into a bit of a toolbox, maybe tools for the house. Don't know yet, but we shall see. But it is nice and strong. I was actually thinking about the fact that I do have quite a few Bosch items. My glue gun is Bosch. I've got one of the old glue. This is 20 odd years old, Bosch jigsaw. I've got a Bosch hammer SDS drill. I've got some of their garden tools as well, a lawnmower and hedge trimmer, and my electric chainsaw, all Bosch. Obviously, they kind of sort of the household. So in the box, fairly sort of standard fare as you would expect. Charger. Now, one of the things I really like about this charger is that it comes with wall mounts, so that might be actually quite useful for making separate. We've got a couple of the batteries, and it's so much smaller. Lithium ion, of course, rather than NiCad. I'm sure we all know the benefits of that. There's not many, you can't really get NiCad machines anymore. but a lot smaller and a lot lighter. And for me, that's a big deal. There's a belt clip. I might or might not put that on. I don't know. Again, I'm not in the trade. I'm generally not up ladders. But then I also know that you put up a shelf in the house. Yeah, right, put the drill down, mark the spots, pick the drill back up, drill the holes, put the drill back down, put the ball plugs in. All those things maybe might make life easier. Having that rather extensive set of battery, charger and instructions, as it is typical nowadays. These are so thick because they cover so many languages. I guess there's a, I don't know, I've got thoughts about that from a kind of environmental point of view. Drive itself now, I haven't used this yet, so this is very much the first thing. I have charged it, I have made sure that it works, but I haven't actually used it in sort of action. I want to do that on camera now, just so you can see my sort of first impressions. Some of the things that I liked about this, compared to some of the other machines that were around for me to choose from, it is relatively compact. It is shorter that way than some of the other drills that are around. If I compare it to the Dewalt, you can see that's probably inch and a half shorter, and it's half the weight. I could sort of weigh these and check. This is a good couple of kilos. I think this is probably about a kilo, with a smaller battery, obviously. I like metal chucks where I can get them. Sometimes I only get sort of the partial chucks. This has got a nice sort of rotating bit at the front, which can be useful if you're kind of sort of trying to guide something in. Good grip on there. I find sometimes some of the plastic ones you don't get grip. You just kind of my hand slips on them, and maybe that's not quite so good. Obviously, torque settings. This is a drill driver. It does have a hammer as well. Hammer action. Again, something I use every now and again. I wasn't too worried about the hammer action because I do have the Bosch hammer, but sometimes it's just nice having a more compact fitting. And this is brushless rather than brushed. That one, the Dewalt, is brushed. More and more drills now are brushless, which is one of the reasons why they're lighter, effectively with the lithium-ion batteries. Those are my main points. I wanted something that was going to be quality. I wanted something lithium-ion because A, that's pretty much all you can get nowadays, and that's so much lighter. I wanted something that wasn't too big, and it had to sort of do the job. Hopefully, this will do the job. It's a slightly different style battery rather than sort of the stick. It's this sort of slide on. I have noticed it doesn't necessarily slide on really effectively. You kind of have to give that extra little bit of a push. It does kind of mean you don't quite get that sort of pushing the stick battery in. Isn't quite like loading the magazine that obviously a lot of men like to do. Yeah, load the magazine in. It's a machine pistol of some sort. I do like the fact that it's got a button on the back to show that it's fully charged. It's more common now on these lithium ions with kind of good battery management. It's interesting that the trigger moves even when it's in sort of the locked position. So that might catch me out. The Dewalt was very much, when it was in locked, there was no movement in there, so you knew exactly that it was locked. So much smoother, but there's quite a lot of jerk on that. It is more powerful in terms of torque. I cannot remember the values off the top of my head, but I think about sort of 10 Newton meters more torque on this compared to that. Again, the newer technology, and effectively the same price, although sort of 10 years on. So it's good to see how things vary. So what I'm going to do, probably start with the screwdriver a bit, drill a couple of holes. I've got that one ready to go. It's charged up. So I'm going to do a sort of comparison, just to compare some holes. I'll just change sort of drill. I'll use the same drill bit. Literally just swap it over. Let's do some screwdrivering. Okay, first test. This is just a piece of CLS. It's not in great condition. It was out in the garden for a little bit of a while. It's not rotten, it's solid. It's a bit of surface dust and there's a few cracks. In the end, I don't want to use any of my nice pieces of wood for this. I've got some gold screws. I think these are Toolstation or B&Q screw fix. I can't remember now. I've had them for a long time. 5 by 80 millimeters. It's PZ2. I'm using the same draw driver. I'm going to put these in side by side. Right, I'm going to put it on drill rather than torque. This does not smell good. So it took a bit of time getting used to the new chuck, just to kind of feel for it, but yeah, it seems okay. Same capacity. I did think of going 12 volts. 12 volt systems obviously generally are cheaper. I'm not actually, I couldn't find, apart from the Airbauer and a couple of other kind of not major brands, I couldn't find many 12 volt systems that were actually cheaper than this one. But lighter was something that I was going for. I do quite have a fancy for maybe getting the Bosch 12 volt driver, not the impact driver, just the screwdriver. My father-in-law has one of the older versions, and it's a really nice driver. I did try and get a 7.2 volt driver from B&Q once, but that was a bit of a disaster. So let's see how this goes. So same wood, just an inch away. Oh yeah, I think I know what I like. So that went really neatly. I'm just going to reverse them out now. So just to give them back to this, I'll just do in the same order. There is a light down here which shines up. I'm not sure how that's going to work. I don't do huge amounts buried in the dark, but it could be useful. It's a bit more powerful. I think I may have to actually use the chuck properly. It's a bit of old school of kind of holding it and using the trigger to close it. I think I may have to try and get into the habit of actually opening and closing the chuck by hand and maybe not taking off skin. It hasn't taken off any skin, but I think it probably could. Yeah, I may have to. Bit of a used bit, so it did jump a little bit there. Quite a lot more power than I was expecting. I wonder if it may kind of play around with sort of slower speed. There's no pre-drilling on this. Now these are designed for no need for pre-drilling. They've got the little pilot bit at the end. But I do like that. That's nice. Right, let's see about drilling a couple of holes. I think what I'll do, go for maybe kind of a normal size sort of hole, 3 or 4 millimeters, and maybe then a spade bit. So 4.5 millimeter drill bit. Nice and sharp. It's a relatively new bit, so that went in nicely. swap this out. Change it to high speed. Possibly marginally faster. Yeah, certainly didn't feel any more difficult. So that was quite nice. Now, something I've just noticed, one sort of difference on here. The torque setting on here is also the action setting, so I can kind of go to sort of hammer drill, or through the various torque settings. On here, I've got two control systems, so the torque is separate from the drill and the hammer selector. Now, I think that might be useful. Once I get used to it, I think that might be useful, because I can set a torque setting, drill, and torque without actually having to sort of change it quite a distance. So yeah, I think that could be good. Okay, 25mm spade bit. Same piece of wood, but I'm going to change it. So we're drilling across. Now normally with a spade bit I would drill partway through, flip it over and go the other way. I think for this demonstration I'm just going to go straight through and see how it goes. There is a dead screw in here. There we go. Relatively new spade bit, so nice and sharp. It's still okay. I'm obviously, it's tearing out. That's why we go through from both sides. It's still okay. It stinks. But let's see how the Bosch goes. I don't really get any sort of bad impressions. I'm sort of bad mouthing this Dewalt. This has served me really, really well. Dewalt was one of the other options when I narrowed it down. I've had 15 or 16 drill drivers in a spreadsheet, listed all their technical characteristics, torque settings, battery voltage, and the whole lot. And I narrowed it down to, I think, 4, based on a variety of criteria, lightness being one, and the next 2 in my list were both Dewalt. This was on offer. I like Bosch, I like Dewalt, so, and this one was available. That was the other problem. The Dewalt ones, at least one of the other one, the second or third choice wasn't available to go and pick up from my nearest store or even get next day delivery, which obviously is a sign that they're popular. They're good machines, but yeah, I was going to say last century, but it's 2021 already. Yeah, how did that happen? Yeah, hopefully this is going to work nicely on here. So it is on the drill setting. It is on speed 2, so same setting. I like this. I like this a lot. I kind of hope I get a few projects to build now soon that are going to need it, rather than just kind of putting some shelves up in the house, which do have to do soon. So, this is not a review. I will come back once I've had a chance to use this properly and give a review. This is just kind of first impressions. My first impressions are that I love it. It's a lot lighter than that. It's more powerful. It's not making a stink, which is also good. It's a little bit more compact. I have had times where I've struggled to fit this in. That's one of the reasons why I actually quite like a smaller screwdriver as well. There's been a few occasions where I've had to try and do things. Maybe a 12 volt would be nice. I'll have to save up some pennies before that's not a priority on my tool wish list. I like it a lot. I don't know if it's still on offer. I'll put a link down below if it is. Maybe put an Amazon link. If it isn't, would I recommend it? So far, yeah. Will it last a long time? I hope it lasts as long as that one does, if not longer, because that one's been good value. And I like tools that last at good value. I'm not a heavy user, so yeah, they do tend to last. It's a bit disappointing when they don't, if you're not a heavy user. This is part of their professional range. Get the way around. It's part of their professional range. So I'm hoping that it will. But I'm also aware that they're selling it at £100 at the moment, which is very cheap for a professional grade drill. Keep watching. Hopefully you'll see this in a few videos. Hoping there'll be some more videos coming out soon. Maybe have a look at some of my other reviews and sort of tools and things. So, if you liked it, click like, subscribe, all the rest of the business, and keep a lookout for some more videos. Bye for now.